Very much, Antoine, and thank you very much, IDSA, for having invited the ANRT to participate in this meeting. I think we are kind of a nice couple now, since we are practicing each other for some time. One word about ANRT. Could you put the slide on, please, Antoine? Just for me to feel relaxed.
Oh yeah, actually this is on my screen, but unfortunately it was not.
Okay, so ANRT gathers 350 members, both private and public organizations, and we are kind of an animator of the R&D communities. The association exists since 1953, and we are a kind of a go-between between research and the government. So we pass on messages and we work together with DGE in France, which is the French Ministry of Economics, and the French Ministry of Research, in order to improve the rules of the game so that research is flourishing, so to speak, in France. That's the first aspect. And the key words to describe ANRT are exactly the same as the one used by Anne-Sophie a moment ago, which is sovereign, trusted, and neutral. So we are not the voice of any particular sector. There are any sectors in the members of ANRT, from energy to planes, from planes to agricultural tools, education, whatever. So we don't represent any specific interest, except we want research and development and innovation to develop and flourish in the country. And at the same time, we got three lines of business. The first is that we develop PhDs because we fund young researchers doing their PhD in company, and we fund them. Second line of business, we are developing foresight as regards the French system of research and innovation. And third, we are helping our members and slightly beyond to participate in R&D projects at European level. So we have been practicing this for a number of years now, because it was in 1983 or 4 that we joined the first framework program in order to elaborate on the architecture, on the IP rules, or the legal affairs in this project. So this is what we do basically. So it has been a bit long, but I wanted you to understand from where I do speak. Thank you for that. This presentation is arriving at a great point, because we have seen the variety of the approaches that were pushed on for the previous participants, and a lot of examples also have been given. So it was really nice for me to intervene just right now, and I will emulate on their approaches and quote them as examples in my presentation. If you can say, yes, one word, we were all here to attest to, that's a testimony, what we want to go for a pan-European data sovereignty. So of course, everything in there is complicated. There are legal aspects, there are policy aspects, there are technical aspects, but I think with the IDSA, we got a kind of a manageable approach to go in that direction. And as Alban has said, with the Gaia X project, I think we are getting closer to this objective. If you can just move on to the next slide, please. Yes, to put things in perspective from where we see things, why are we doing all this? Why is there maybe an issue or a concept that we need to develop about data sovereignty? Because most companies are really struggling to get to become something else that they were not before. They are trying to become digital platforms. So it's an ongoing process, and nobody's there yet, but there are lots of efforts that are being made in order to do so. And a large part of the battle here is within the B2B world. When we talk about platformization, usually, when you put large platform, you think about B2C. You think your Google, you think your Facebook, you think etc. Now there's been a move, and including the company I quoted, and we can add on that Amazon, of course. They are really trying to get more influential, and they provide services to other companies. So this is this process, this digital platformization process, which is ongoing, and there is a technical side. I mean, AWS is providing cloud services, which are good services with a fair price, and but for a number of reasons. And this is also an economic battle. And so there is something that is to be said here. This process is going industry-wide, and in all the sectors that I mentioned earlier, people are trying to become more of an economic platform. And I think the approach that was presented by Veolia is exactly what most companies are trying to do now: move to cloud, which means OVH cloud is really relevant in our domain. Data for business, it means to include your client base within the walls, so to speak, of your organization. This is platformization as well, and also SATA-WAD, meaning being able to serve your clients by any means all the time. So this is very important, and this is where we stand now. Maybe you can move one slide further, please, Antoine. So, as very well explained by the latest speaker, Marc Oliver, the value of data stems from combining and sharing those data sets. So this is the major point. Why we do this is because the data we can as long as we can gather data coming from various origins, then we can create value. One single data set in any domain is not enough to bring value to customers, be they company or individuals. So when we come from this approach, it means that in order for business to develop, all the various, so to speak, you could almost have a data value chain as you before used to have a value chain for production, for instance. The data is to be considered in the same way as we used to consider the conception of a new product and putting on the market. It means that before being able to create any value at one spot within the value chain, you got to be able to understand each other and to be able to develop this common understanding of the value chain in which you are acting. And it has to be done at the very level of business to business. It means ecosystems. Ecosystems, you know the notion, but you got to go one step, take one step more profound in that. It means if you're talking about health, it will be a specific type of medicine. It will be a vaccine versus technological equipment. You got to go very deep in order to find the real rules of the game, the rules of the métier, we say in France, or the profession, you can say. So this is the important part of it. If you can move one slide, please, Antoine, thank you. This is why we come to security, which has to be by design, as very well explained by Marc Olivier, to foster this industry of trust, which you are all contributing to. And this is where data sovereignty come into play. You can go one step further, Antoine, please. Yes, as we have very well seen in the previous presentations, data sovereignty is not easily understandable, because it will be, for some people, we are talking from a business point of view, it will be a business issue, how to manage my business data sovereignty. If I'm a cloud provider, I have to be completely neutral and in favor that my clients can have this data sovereignty. This is a problem, but this is also a conceptual solution. It has been very well presented by Alban. And on the other side, sovereignty is a word that is usually manipulated by policy. It's a public policy attitude towards the value of the data that a country or a specific country is producing. You want data sovereignty, it means you want all the value of the data that was created created within a set of activities that are happening in the country to remain in the country, not to go elsewhere. And this is where we got a real problem, because with the Cloud Act, which is a specific extraterritorial law of the US, there is no more possibility for any company to have a contract with an American society, an American company, and being sure that there is any data sovereignty. So it means that location is not a protection. So if it's not a question of location, it's a question of rules, a set of rules that are that favor this data sovereignty. This is where we come to the IDSA approach, which is the approach through which we think it is possible to gain data sovereignty. A lot of work has been done within the IDSA along the years to based on research work and both businesses' experiences in order to contribute to the design of harmonized European set of policy rules. It means a lot of work has been done. We are just at the tipping point where these efforts made along the years could become a reality within a common set of policy rules that are adopted at the EU level. There are a number of those rules. They were quoted, just like GDPR, for instance, or the free flow of data and a number of things with that, but we are not there yet. These are to become practices spread among a number of companies who have decided to do so because it was better for their businesses. So this is where I have to stop. I think I've been a bit too long as usual, but I will thank you for your time and your question if they come. Thank you very much.